Hey, we are at Sutter's Fort today, Sacramento, California. Sutter's Fort State Historic Park, the California State Park. Cool. I got Anthony here.
Hey,
Cool dude. This is in Midtown in Sacramento. Okay, so we have joined the tour. This was John Sutter's bedroom. Blacksmith. Okay, and going into a room where we can look but don't touch. So don't touch anything, Anthony. You're gonna get banned. You're gonna get kicked out of here.
having relied on is very important on the frontier for both for protection and for hunting. Somebody was wandering around out here without being armed. That was very silly. Gunsmith, very, very important. Very, very important skill to have, partisan to have here at the fort. So this would have been the gunsmith shop here. Basically, they were looking at different weapons. Now, I'm going to bring this one down to show you. This is a 67 caliber Charleville musket. So remember I told you that he had bought Fort Ross and he got all this military hardware from Fort Ross, which was a Russian military outpost. What he got was he got about 70 of these Charleville muskets, which is what he armed his Native American militia with. This is a flintlock. This is old technology. Even in 1840, this was starting to be really old technology. And the way a flintlock works is you have to, first of all, put powder down the barrel. Which means you've had one of these filled with powder. You would take your teeth and tear it off, pour it down the bottom. Then you'd have to ram that down a little bit. Then take a ball, which we don't have any balls here for safety reasons because these are all operating weapons. Put the ball down, ram that. You have to cock this back. See, it's not easy. You put a little bit of powder. Let me turn this around. Put a little powder on this little tray here, right? This is all happening while you're trying to shoot a bear or something. And you put a little powder on there. This is flint. You got to make sure it's dry. It's going to create a little spark when I pull the trigger, and then it's going to light this little pan. It's called a pan. It's going to light that on fire. Just get a little tiny hole going into the barrel of the rifle, and then that will explode inside the rifle and shoot the ball out this side. So pull that, and that's how that would work. So this was old technology. By the time of the 1840s, they were starting to make rifles. This is the famous Hawken rifle. This is a rifle that's been called, the quintessential frontier rifle. Very, very simple, similar to the rifles that the United States Army used in the Civil War, and it was much better technology. So you notice it's a lot shorter. Okay, that's because it's got a rifle barrel. That means that there's a spiral etching on the inside of the barrel. What that does is it gets the ball spinning, which keeps it much more accurate as it's going out. Higher velocity, higher accuracy. The reason these muskets had these long barrels is because there was no rifle, so the ball would bounce around inside there and finally go out. These were only accurate to maybe 50 yards if you were lucky, probably 20, 30 better. This is rifled, and it's also what's called a cap and ball. So to fire this, you can cock it back, obviously, but you don't. You still have to put your powder down the end. Although they started to come out with these made out of cotton, and you could just jam it, preloaded powder down there. put a ball, ram it in, but you don't have to put any powder here. You have a little cap. Cap sits on this little nipple right here, and then you pull the trigger. That cap it does the same thing where there's a little hole that goes into the barrel, and then it explodes in there and shoots the ball out that way. So this was the new technology. And this really started happening in the 1820s, 1830s. So by 1840, this is what everybody wanted. So one of the things that the gunsmiths at Sutter's Fort did was they were converting these flintlock rifles, which is this technology is even by the 1840s was hundreds of years old, into the cap and ball technology, which eventually evolved into cartridges like we have now. In this rifle, you will see everything from in popular culture from Robert Redford movie Jeremiah Johnson all the way up to The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio. They're talking about hockey rifles. This is the rifle that they're talking about. So, I think that about covers everything. Oh, but yeah, of course. So these Charleville muskets, like I said, Sutter got 70 of them. This is what he outfitted his little militia with, and also the uniforms and everything else they got came from Fort Ross. That's what made this particular fort, this trading post, look a little bit more like a military fort than a lot of people because of all the stuff he got from Fort Ross. All right, any questions about the gunsmith shop? Anybody at all? No? Okay. All right, so we'll move on to our next spot. If you guys want to go out the door and out of the ground, see this looks like you take it out of the ground. Yeah. So you don't really want all this stuff though. All you really want is these little berries on here. They look like seeds, but they're actually little berries. The rest of the stuff is called chaff. So what you're trying to do is separate the wheat from the chaff. That term, that's where it came from. So there's various methods of doing that, but they all rely on you knowing the fact that these berries are a lot heavier than the rest of the stuff. So by using gravity, whether you're tossing it up the second floor or you're threshing it or whatever you might be doing, once you break this up into small enough pieces, you can separate the berries from the rest of this stuff, throw away the other stuff, and just keep the berries. And when that happens, you have just the berries. It looks like this. So that's raw wheat berry. Not called raw wheat berry. It's called grist. When wheat takes this form here, once you've got the berries separated out from the rest of the stuff, it's called grist. That's why this is a grist mill. But you still have to grind it enough to make flour. So you put some in the top here. There's quite a lot in here. And then you're just going to funnel this down between these two stones, and they're going to move and they're going to grind it. The top stone is smooth. It's called the runner stone. But the bottom stone has these grooves in it. These grooves do two things. They help grind up the wheat berry, the grist, but they also push it out the side to this thing here called a catch box. Now, in Sutter's time, this mill was 3 times larger than this. Okay, and there wasn't a state worker pushing it around. There was mules that pushed it around. Nowadays, we use state workers because mules are too expensive. So we just have state workers pushing this around. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. You're going to see, you should see some of the ground grist coming out between these two stones. The catch box right here. Okay. Keep an eye on there. You should be able to see it. Everybody going to look at that. Go around one more time if you want. So that's like one grind. Oh, there's much grind at once. Looks like that. Still doesn't look like something you can probably make. Right? It'd be kind of crunchy bread. Try to bake with that. Right? So gotta keep grinding it. Pull it here, put it back in, grind it again, put it back in, grind it again, probably at least 3 times before you have something that you can bake with. It'll probably never be as fine and powdery as the flour we use now. You have at home in your pantry, but enough that they can make the kind of bread that they were used to. So you might be asking yourself, well, if you have to keep grinding it over and over again, why don't we get rid of the mules and put a couple of really fast horses on there, just spin that thing around, a lot faster, and we can get it done a lot faster. What do you think? Sound like a good idea? There's a problem with that. Let me demonstrate the problem, okay? Everybody put your hands together, start rubbing them. What's going on in here? It's hot. Friction, right? That's just your 2 hands. These 2 stones, even these 1/3 size stones, weigh about 300 pounds each. So you can imagine if they were spinning around against each other, you would burn the grist. And that's a big problem. You got to take it apart and clean it out. So what you have to do, even if you just use a mule or you have a water-powered mill, you have to occasionally make sure that it's not burning. The way you do that, you put your head down here, give it a little sniff. Every once in a while, make sure you don't smell anything burning. That's called putting your nose to the grindstone. So if you're wondering where that expression came from, or if you're wondering where the expression separating the chaff or the daily grind, all those things came from grist mills and mills. They're all milling terms. So, is there anybody, you're lucky today, we just happen to be auditioning mules. So, if there's anybody who'd like to come in here and try this, audition, being a mule, you want to come in? It doesn't have to be like that. You can't have it climbing on there anyway. So,
This guy does.
all right,
Let's be a mule.
Yeah.
Look at Anthony going to grind some grains.
Splinters myself. All right, you know the drill. Just watch your step. And when you're doing it, you can really get a good view of the grist that's coming out there. Anybody else want to give it a try? No? Yeah.
Yeah, man. Good job. Get your daily grind in.
Yeah.
Just muling around over here. Oh, going to the kitchen. Get some treats. All right. Hell yeah.
All heard for California at that time. Many people had 25,000 head of cattle, especially in Southern California. Here they called it the hide and tallow trade. And that was California's big industry before the gold rush. Okay, buddy, you gotta stay over this side. Big hole in this floor. All right, so the hide and tallow trade, and that's because the only parts of the cattle they used were the cow hides, which they used to call California banknotes, and the tallow. Anybody know what tallow is? Rendered beef fat. Yeah. So they only used those 2 things. They had a lot of meat, a lot of steaks and roasts and ribs and stuff like that, but they could not ship that around the world. Anybody want to guess why they couldn't ship that around the world in the 1840s? No refrigeration, exactly. Would have rotted before it got to San Francisco. Ship it out. So they ate a lot of beef. Obviously, just about every meal had beef in it. But there's no way 30,000 people, the entire non-native people in the state of California, could eat all that beef. So most of it went to waste. But the hides and the tallow were shipped out all over the world, and that was California's main economy. Also, their main diet. In here, I don't know if you've ever seen movies where they have a hearth like this. You see how the ashes are all in the corner? They didn't build a big giant roaring fire and put stuff over the top of it. What they did was they built a fire in the corner. Depending on what you were cooking, it could go really close to it if you need something really hot, or go farther away from it if you need something really cool. You see these different pots, pans, things we have over here. You see how these have these little legs on there? And that's what those are for. Depending upon how close you want to get the fire and how hot you want it to be, just different one of these. This, you build a fire underneath here, and you would have, it would be like if you wanted, they would use a lot of flour, like a wheat mush, which the native workers would eat, kind of try to replicate the acorn mush that they eat naturally in their diet. So any big thing you wanted to make a big pot of, you would put it here, put the fire over there. Other stuff, like I said, cooked over here under this hearth, or they also would cook outside, whole pig or half cow or something like that, put it outside. Eventually, Sutter, beef, beans, and bread. That was the main diet here. But eventually, Sutter started to put in some groves. He got some fruit. He put some vegetable gardens. They got other animals, so you get pork, chicken, stuff like that. Still, though, you can imagine, hundreds of thousands of cattle all over California, beef was still a big part of the meal. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little fun, because we're going to pretend like we're going to have dinner here tonight, and we're going to design our menu, all right? So the first thing I need is someone to volunteer to help us remember these numbers in order, okay? Who wants to volunteer? Who's good with math? Who wants to do it? Anybody? Got to remember 5 numbers in order. If you do it, I'm going to have to pick somebody. What do you think? You want to try it? Why don't you guys work as a team? All right, cool. All right, so now we're gonna pick each of these courses as we go along, but you're just gonna pick a number, and then I'm gonna read you what we came up with. Okay? Hopefully, you get some of the good stuff. All right. So for the first course, somebody give me a number. Any number between 1 and 5. Someone. 5. Okay. Remember that first number is 5. Second course. Anybody with a number between 1 and 5?
3.
3. Got that one. Got 5 and 3. Remember those 2. Okay. Third course. Number between 1 and 5. You.
2.
2. All right. Got that? All right. Fourth course. So this is actually dessert. Number between 1 and 5. How about you?
1.
1. There you go. All right. Now that's dessert. And then finally, what are we going to drink? How about a number between 1 and 5? What?
What's that?
1. Just any number between 1 and 5. 2. Okay. All right. You remember our numbers in order? Okay. What was the first number?
5.
5. So we're starting with salted salmon. Okay. What's the second number?
1.
Second course would have been fried beef with peppers. Not so bad. Our third course, what was the number?
2.
2. Roasted salmon. We're having a lot of salmon. And then for dessert, what was our fourth? 1. Roasted apples or pears. Not so bad. And then finally, our last one was
2.
2. Sutter brandy made from wild grapes. So bad. Too bad you guys are going to miss out on the miss out on the pudding, which was made with beef tallow. Good pudding, good stuff like that. So but you did pretty good. Or coffee made with roasted acorns. So Sutter next door here was the distillery. He made a kind of a strong wine, which he called brandy, but I don't think anybody here would call it brandy. So, but it was very popular. That's why it's the biggest building outside of the city. So, questions about the kitchen? Anybody?
Up the stairs. Rickety stairs. Yeah. Anthony want to know if we can test this cannon out. Should.
And then you've got Sutter's office over here. And this is also where they would have taken their meals. That is, the Europeans would have taken their meals here. The natives would have been eating outside. So this Sutter's Fort was only here for about 10 years. You can imagine that, all right? And in its form, when it was completely enclosed and completely, like you see it here, probably only about 5 or 6 of those 10 years. But some really momentous historic things happened while this fort was here. So Sutter continued to go into debt. Instead, he bought Fort Ross and never really paid the entire bill. He paid a lot of it in wheat. Everything that he had here, he had bought on credit, or he had made deals with people, trades for people, and sometimes trades for things that he didn't have. But remember, he had those great letters of recommendation. He used those as much as he could to get himself established here. So during that 10 years, the first thing that happened that was like a momentous occasion was that the United States and Mexico got into a war. And when that war was over, California stopped being part of Mexico, started being part of the United States. California actually became capitulated. They surrendered to Mexican government surrendered to the Americans about 2 years before the rest of Mexico and California. This became a military occupied place. So when that happened, when this became part of the United States, there was two consequences for Sutter. One bad, one good. The bad thing that happened was that him and all the rest of the Mexican owners that owned land here had to go to American courts now and prove in the American courts that they owned the land that they actually owned, right? And just to show you that some things never change, that process for those Mexican landowners to go to American courts and prove they own their own land took years. During that period of time, they were in the courts trying to prove they owned their own land. People were coming, squatting on the land, making improvements, farms, mining, all those kinds of things. There was nothing the landowners could do about it. So that was kind of a negative. But the positive thing was that once this became part of the United States, those people that were coming here overland, like Bidwell was in the very first wagon party that tried to make it to California. Just like I said, he didn't get his wagons, they didn't get their wagons over the Sierra. They finished it on foot. That was like a lot of people. Sierra was very difficult to get over. Much easier getting over the Rockies because of a geographic feature called the South Pass. The Rockies, no such thing. So that very difficult, very dangerous 4 to 6 month long trip across the plains, the deserts, 2 mountain ranges, all that stuff. It made it a much more attractive proposition for people that were coming here from the United States to take that risk to get out here when they knew that when they got here, they were going to be in the United States and not in Mexico, where they might not even be welcome or allowed to stay. So what that did was increase the frequency of people coming here to California. When I say coming here too, I mean here. This was the end of the California Trail. If you left Missouri in your wagon, headed for California, Sutter's Fort was your destination. So, more and more people coming, Sutter kind of figured that out. That, you know, what is it that Americans like? I mean, all these people coming here from the United States, what do Americans like? Americans like towns. Okay? Now, there was no town here. Sacramento did not exist yet. Just Sutter's Fort, outlying ranchos, a few other buildings outside here. That was it. No Sacramento. So he was going to build himself a town. He was going to call it Sutterville, of course. He was going to build it over where the Sacramento Zoo is right now. That's why when you drive by Interstate 5 past Land Park, there's Sutterville Road. And he was going to build it there for the same reason he built here. I don't know if you noticed when you walk to the fort, you walk up a little hill, right? We're on top of a little hill right here. But this is actually the highest point in the city of Sacramento, a whole 55 feet above sea level. Over there, Land Park, about the same way. And that's because most of Sacramento is either at or below sea level. Very flood-prone area. So he wanted to build a city where it wasn't going to flood, just like he wanted to build his fort where it didn't flood. And so in order to do that, he needed lots of lumber for his buildings. Not a great source for lumber here in the valley. So he asked his head carpenter, James Marshall, to head up to Coloma, about 40 miles up the American River, to a place where there was a nice flat valley where the American River came rushing through there really hard. Perfect spot to build a water-powered sawmill. And just like every other place in the foothills around here, if any of you have been up there, there's a million pine trees everywhere you look. So cut down pine trees, rip them through in the sawmill, and bring it back down here so he can build his town. So Marshall went up there to build the sawmill. Before he'd even finished, he found some kind of interesting looking stones, little rocks in the tail race that he was building. You may want to guess what those were. Really? What do you think? Gold, that's right. Found some gold up there. But you know what? He wasn't sure it was gold. If you find gold in its raw form, whether it's in mud or you take it out of a rock or something, it doesn't look like a necklace or a pair of earrings. It's not all shiny. He was pretty sure it was gold. He had Mexicans that were working for him up there that worked in gold mines in Mexico. They've been mining gold in Mexico for hundreds of years. They said, no, that's gold. That's what you got there. It's gold. Plus, he had, of course, natives working for him up there, building the sawmill. And they said, you know, we don't know what that stuff is. It had no value in their society. But if you're interested in it, it is all over the place up here. Anywhere you go, you're going to find that stuff. So now he's armed with this knowledge that he's pretty sure he's got gold, and it's all over the place where he found it. So what does he do? He comes down here to this building, goes into Sutter's office, examine the samples, they test them, and decide that they are real gold. The first idea, let's keep it a secret. We all know how that turned out for them, right? They weren't able to keep it a secret. That was the beginning of February of 1848. By the middle of March, a month and a half later, the newspaper in San Francisco, the word got out. There is gold on the American River. In that first year, not even the first year, the next 9 months, by the end of the year, 80,000 people had come to California. Gold. Remember I told you there was only 30,000 non-natives in the entire state before the gold rush. That tripled the population of California. Over the next few years, 300,000 people come to California for the gold rush. So you would think that, well, this must be a good deal for Sutter, all those people coming here, good customers for him. It wasn't, but the fortunate thing for him was that he finally got his oldest son over here in 1848. His oldest son was a little smarter than Dad. His dad, again, by this time, was already in debt, couldn't pay people back. He was worried about people taking all of his stuff, because a little bit of money. So he outsmarted him by turning everything over to his son. His son became the owner of everything. So his son, being a little smarter than Dad, realized that Sutter's Fort was in the wrong spot. But all those people coming here for the gold rush were coming and getting on little steamboats from San Francisco down where the city of Sacramento started, where old Sacramento is now. That's 2 miles west of here. So he sold the fort. Merchants that he sold the fort to, they did pretty good for a little while. But soon they realized, like everybody else, that if you want to sell stuff to miners, you want to be down there where they get off the steamboats. They're not going to come 2 miles out of the way to get their supplies. So they deserted the fort. They took everything they could out of the outside walls, not this building, but everything on the outside, including the roof, floors, windows, doors, everything, brought it back down where old Sacramento is now, where the city started, and rebuilt their buildings down there so they were closer to the customers. Marketing 101, be where the customers are. And the fort was abandoned. Now, John Sutter Jr. was the person who laid out the grid for the city of Sacramento, that grid that is still here. He was the person who named it Sacramento. Now, you'll see a lot of plaques again and things that John Sutter Sr. was the founder of Sacramento. He was not. John Sutter Jr. was the person who founded Sacramento. Matter of fact, he not only founded Sacramento, but he sold enough lots to get his dad out of debt. Finally, paid off all of his dad's debts. He would think that his dad would really be happy about that, right? He was not. He was furious with his son because he wanted it to be Sutterville, over by the zoo, on the top of the little knoll. That's where he wanted the town, not where it ended up being. That's where everybody wanted to go. That's where they were getting off the steamboats. They were just running those steamboats as far up the Sacramento River as they could, drowning them into the mud banks, and people were hopping off. So that was where the city started. So he disowned his son. His son moved to Acapulco because he got his dad out of debt. And of course, his dad back in debt again. With the fort abandoned, it's made out of adobe, the outside walls, and those inside rooms inside of them, the bastions, all those things. By 1855, gone. No, not even known that they were there. The central building was still here. It was occupied until the 1870s. And then it was abandoned and about ready to fall over. And they were going to put this 27th Street through here. They were starting, the city was getting big enough, they were going to build out here. They wanted to tear this building down and put 27th Street through. But instead, a group called the Native Sons of the Gold West, they got together and they preserved this area. They bought the land, they restored this building. It's still 70-80% original. They rebuilt all of the walls, the roofs inside of them, the bastion, all that stuff. And then they donated to the state of California. So this place could be a California State Historic Park, which is what it is now, which just kind of brings us up to date. So that's kind of the story. Who was here first? Why Sutter came here, what he did, what happened to him. We think this is a great place to learn about history because this place is not very big, as you can see. Our strip mall is probably bigger than this. There were never any more than maybe 30 to 40 Europeans here at any one time. And yet, these really huge historic events, the colonization of the central part of California, the Mexican-American War, the gold rush, all of these things were interconnected with this fort. even though it's a pretty small place, not a lot of people, and not even here for very long. So that's why I think it's kind of a special place to learn about history. So, any questions about anything? Or anything you guys wanted to talk about? We didn't have a chance to touch on or anything at all?
We went up for the tour and there's like cannons up in that corner. So it's just like,
Those
so,
all came from Fort Ross.
so that was never used here as an actual.
He was never in threat of anything. This was never a military fort. They did not fight any battles here. Even during the Mexican-American War, when the military didn't stay here, they whacked here for a few months. All the battles that were in the Mexican War in California were in Southern California.
So those were brought there just to
Intimidate,
display,
threat, coerce the native population, and then also to make those people that were coming here on that crazy trip all the way out here from Missouri feel like they were coming someplace safe and secure. But more than anything, I mean, there's probably half a dozen reasons why it looks the way it looks. The main reason it looks like this is Sutter, when he was wandering around, he went down Santa Fe Trail, he went to the Rocky Mountain Rendezvous we were talking about. He went to all these trading posts that were called forts. Fort Vancouver, Fort Laramie, Bent's Fort, and the Santa Fe Trail. All of them looked like this. They built like stockades, they have these two bastions, whatever kind of ordnance they can, they put in. So when he built his trading post, he built it to look like trading posts he'd already seen out on the frontier. But yeah, no, it was not. He had guards at the gate that were guarding against nothing. Anything else? All right, well, folks, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate you coming and staying time with us here at Sutter's Fort. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over here and open up Sutter's office. Anybody who wants to, they can come in. You can have take a look, get your photograph behind the desk if you want. So we can do that. It's great for social media. Hashtag Sutter's Fort. Don't forget. So go ahead. I'll open this up for you. Remember though, no put no touch. All right. So if anybody's wants to get
Doctor's office is where they're like, this is where they're like, you got ghosts in your blood. Here, take some plaid with morphine. And the clerk's office here. Focus. Clerk's office. He was also the janitor. Ooh, stairs to the attic. No. And this guy over here just sitting, doing modern technology in an old building. The Sutter's Fort have Wi-Fi. Well, the tour is over for today. Well, the guided tour. So we'll finish the rest of the tour on our own. Down these rickety stairs. Glad I didn't crush those stairs because I have a little bit of what the doctors call a little bit of a weight problem. Wood. I guess that's where they sat and they were like, it is cold up in them hills. And then there was. On those stairs. It's like one of those barrels you see, like in the cartoons, where like Cletus jumps out and he's like, yeah. Bakery. I was wondering if you have a bowl I can borrow. Not a small one, or medium, or big, or something. I don't know. Make some butter too. Barrels for days. And the first mechanical bull. I don't know. Probably not. I thought Anthony was lost for a minute. I couldn't find him. But he's here. He's going to weave a blanket. Pretty cool. Man, they were like making pizzas? Yeah, this is part of the tour. It's part of the tour. Wow, they were really up to times in the 1840s, huh? Dang. There's gold over the hills. The gold paid for this. The gold paid for this optics. What in tarnation? I don't know. Let's do it. We'll hook it up to my cat. It's pretty big. She might pull it. This must have been their doghouse. I know it's not a doghouse. That's where they made their pizzas. That's where they made their pizzas. They had the paddles over there. Yeah. Fire pizza. What is it called? Fire crust pizza? Brick oven pizza? More wood for burning. And that's where they'd sit and tell their stories about
marshmallows?
Yeah. No, it's where they sit.
The picture there, right?
Yeah.
The picture there,
Yeah,
marshmallows.
they would sit there and they'd talk about the old days of how they used to make pizza back in the day.
And then you can make s'mores here.
S'mores? S'more what? I haven't had any. How can I have any s'more if I haven't had any yet? I think I botched that, but whatever. Here's the witch's cauldron. Probably boil the local animals or whatever. American Immigrant Wagon. So if you're gonna travel west, I'd pretty much take this route there, right there. And I'm from that area. See where it says Ford Hall? I'm about 10 miles east of there is where I'm from. In California. In Sacramento. Sutter's Fort right there. Sutter's Fort. No danger though. No danger. They never fired any guns. Covered wagon. Take a road trip in this, huh?
You'd be comfortable with the tires? Or
Yeah, totally. Wagon wheels? Yeah. I think they're Taranzas. Bridgestone. And then they kept the bees here. I don't know what that is. Probably something to cover something up. Probably a pit. So, had cannons. What do you say they were from Fort Ross? Cannons pointing at nothing because there was never any danger. Spikes just in case the zombies fell from the freaking sky, I guess. I don't know. Unless they had giant eagles dropping enemies over the fence. I don't know, over the gate. But pretty cool. Flag. Barrel. It's a barrel of fun. I guess that's John Fremont. That's what he really looked like. He was squiggly. Franklin Bonnie.
Oh, is there someone there? Why don't you ask who's there? Hey.
Look, it's the rickety stairs. I was right there.
Hi. Okay, last time. Hi.
Someone's poisoned the watering hole. This guy really wants to shoot one of these cannons. Just go ahead. Shoot it. He's going to get his banned.
The battery?
Where do I plug it in? Is this charged?
Got a muzzle on there already. We can't do it.
That's going to stop it. Got a little muzzle on there. I ain't going to fire nothing today. Anthony said that looks heavy.
So we do your bench press here? Yes.
Yeah, it's the old gym. If you couldn't lift anything up, they'd roast you right there and they cook you and eat you. True story. They would liquefy you in that. Make a soup out of you. Oh, you're big. They'd make two soups.
Like a big Mexican.
Like, hey, I thought we were in Sacramento, not Philadelphia. Anthony said, was there a crack in the bell? So I think he really thought it was Philadelphia. I don't know.
I thought it was hand sanitizer, but it wasn't with
Oh, it's the stuff from the 1840s again. Whole bunch of them.
hand sanitizer back then too. Wow,
Yeah. Sanitation was really important back then. Everything was clean. Nothing was dirty. Oh, look, they have water fountains. Barrel. Lo and behold, a relic from the 1840s. Wow.
Filter system?
It is filtered from the 1840s. Yeah, they had irrigation and everything. I don't know, from the Sacramento River. It's insane. Must have been segregated. This one's the white only one. Now it's for everybody else. I guess that'd be for me.
Take a nap.
And that guy. If your pillows and sheets look like this, you're good from that diarrhea virus going around. Look at them socks. Them big old socks. And a baby crib.
They have a room there too. So.
Yeah, they like being clean.
Target? Oh no.
Sanitation.
That was from Target.
No, I think it was from Big Lots. I found another relic from the 1840s. They have bathrooms. Dang, they were advanced. Well, I think that should do it for today. What they should do is let us exit out of these, so we look pretty awesome walking out. Like, ha ha ha. I own this fort, suckers. What's out there? Modern Times is out there. Well, that was a pretty cool day. Sutter's Fork, Sacramento, California. This guy playing fetch with his dog or there with the ball. Oh, the John Deere? Yeah. Yeah, that's how Sutter got around. That's how Sutter got around. He drove that. He's like, let me go check on the other bathrooms and this cactus. Make sure my cactus is growing. Sutter guy was a advanced dude in technology. I think John Sutter was like, hey, you know what this place needs? Sirens. And police force. And a fountain in the middle of some water that probably was not here. This building past the fountain is the California Indian Museum. Pretty cool place. I've been in it before. I don't believe that we can record or take pictures inside, but I will walk by and show the outside exterior. John Sutter was like, hey, guys, if you ride your bikes to work, I put a little bike port out there, whatever these are called. So don't forget your chains. Yes, this is the State Indian Museum. It's pretty cool. Yeah, like I said, I don't think you can record or photograph of any kind inside. Yeah, right there on the door. No photography in the museum, please. That'll be for another time. I probably won't be posting any pictures from inside because, you know, it's all antiques and such, and I just will respect what is on the front door. All right, so we did go into the State Indian Museum. Really cool artifacts. I suggest if you watch this to go in and take a gander for yourself. This guy enjoyed it very much. It's a pretty small museum. It's pretty quick. Not guided today, anyways, that I noticed. But a lot of really cool artifacts in there. You know, I myself I am indigenous. I am Navajo and Mexican indigenous as well. So pretty cool stuff. I suggest people go in and take a look. Get a little bit of education in you. So it's pretty cool that it's right next to Sutter Fort. So you could do a 2-for-1, I should say. Sightseeing. I mean, we've done this for a little over 2.5 hours and learned and saw some pretty cool stuff today. And the cool thing is it's not too hot outside. It's a little bit overcast, slightly, but not like that blazing sun how it's been in the past few days. But anyways, yeah, that should be this tour for today, this exploring edition. Good times. Fun times with this guy. This guy right here.
Yeah. Always a good time.
Always a good time. I'd never show my face. Here I am. It's me. It's me. That guy. So until next time. Actually, I'm gonna go to lunch and I'll let you know about that. All right. So until next time. Talk to you later. Peace.
California Fish Grill.
Okay, we made one more stop. Bakery. It's called Bad Bakers. So I'll pick some donuts up and check it out.